Good morning, everybody. It is October 4th, 2024. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF number 331. That is 327 weeks in a row. We have been doing this. I love doing this because I get to meet some really cool people. And we got one of them really cool people coming on today that I've had the pleasure of hanging out with a little bit at I think the best event of the year, which was a few weeks ago. Travis Halverson. Travis, thanks so much for coming on, man.
No, hey, I appreciate it. Appreciate being here. I'm super honored. So awesome. It's a long time, man. You crush consistency, which is amazing.
Thank you so much for that. And we're gonna get started in a minute. We're gonna talk about you, talk about what people need to do with their databases, how they need to follow up. But first, let's go to the videotape. Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team. Yes, as we just said, this is Real Estate Talk TGIF number 331, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Align team. I have to change that video a little bit. I am the growth manager with Align here in Northern New Jersey, as well as we are located in North Carolina, Baltimore, Maryland, Florida, and Chicago, Illinois, with Captivate. And we believe that you should be leveraging and aligning with as many people as possible to help you build your business. Here we are. We're with Travis Halverson of Digital Maverick, Reside platform, easy home search. Before we get into all of that fun stuff, I have a question I have to ask you that I ask everybody to start the broadcast. And the correct answer rate is around 10%. The question is, what does TGIF stand for?
Oh man. Thank God it's Friday. I don't.
You are so very close, Travis. I want to thank you for the attempt. It is, thank God it's finale. I mean,
Nice. I get it.
It works. It works.
I should have.
It's okay, man. It's all right. So anyway, here we are, Travis Halverson. I mean, you have been an ISA. I want to give you the right props and read what I have about you. Travis Halverson has been an inside sales agent for almost 7 years, achieving over 600 closings. This is really from the site, Travis. So if anything's wrong, please let me know.
Oh, you're good.
He's passionate about transforming the real estate industry and assists over 70 teams nationwide through Digital Maverick, bringing a positive attitude and extensive knowledge of every interaction. He also collaborates with Easy Home Search, helping exclusive clients with conversion to ensure they capitalize on generated opportunities. Beyond Easy Home Search, Travis works with the Reside platform, engaging with over 40 CEOs to enhance their conversion tactics and follow-up processes. He enjoys brainstorming with these leaders to discover innovative ways to make real estate more efficient and user-friendly. How was that?
That was great. What website is that on?
That's, I think, from Reside platform.
Oh my gosh, I need to go take that.
Yeah,
that's great. I love that.
It's there. So, hey man, so we just talked about you and what you do and how you do it and who you're doing it with, but you started somewhere to get there. So I always love hearing people's journeys, wherever they want to start it. Some people start in high school, some people start in college, some other people start with their story somewhere else. Just tell us, how did you get from A to Z where you're at now?
Yeah, for sure. So I started, first time I did like phone sales and inside sales started in college. I'd probably say like my sophomore year of college. I worked at DirecTV back when it was DirecTV, just OG DirecTV. And then I I became a trainer for them. So I trained people to take sales calls, technical support calls. I went through a huge merger between AT&T and DirecTV when they ended up transforming into that platform. Traveled the world, went to Costa Rica, El Salvador, lived over there for a year, made sure I built up call centers, trained them on how to take phone calls, how to overcome objections, and a lot of that stuff. It just kind of evolved from there, really. I realized that like I could get paid more to talk on the phone to nicer people as opposed to talking to people that were very mean at the time for that. Right. I took a break a little bit, it sounds really bad. I started playing video games for a living. I started streaming on platforms like Twitch and stuff, and really started to elevate the game there, and wanted to just, I mean, a hobby turned into a job at that point in time, and it was really exciting. Which a lot of people will really say that's how Travis is able to be an ISA. He can just sit at a desk and just do work forever. You know what I mean? I was able to stream video games for 24 hours, 48 hours at a time. It was awful, but it was just enjoyable, right? So yeah, it started out there, and then I realized my mom was been in real estate for a really long time. She's one of the biggest transaction coordinators out in Idaho for a team that does about 250 million a year in volume. Just crushed it. And then I realized that there was a position called ISA, which was inside sales associate for realtors. And I was like, well, that sounds fun. Might as well give it a shot. They told me that I can make so much money. And I was like, wow, that'd be way better than trying to take it for like $10 an hour doing direct TV and AT&T sales. So did that. I didn't really know what it was. And I was always told that I was kind of like the only ISA, like that position doesn't really exist in other teams. And then I realized that, oh no, that position does exist with everywhere. Like people are really trying to figure out that model. And I was
Yeah.
able to try and capitalize on that because I wanted to. Everybody always told me that being an ISA was like the stepping stone of real estate. Like you start out as an ISA and then you become an agent. And they're like, oh, it's gonna be so exciting when you become an agent. And I was like, I don't ever want to become an agent. I just want to be an ISA. I enjoy being an ISA. That's all I like to do. And so then from there, I kind of expanded, moved to Myrtle Beach, got put on a panel for FubCon 2 years ago, and Preston Guyton was on that panel with me, and we realized we were both in Myrtle Beach, and his easy home search and the thing he was doing with that was kind of like the yin to my yang in a sense, because he was generating thousands and thousands of leads for people, and I only focused on converting leads as an ISA. So it kind of just meshed very well together where we were able to build some sort of partnership, and he was able to bring me on as a Cheplak digital coach, which introduced me to John. And then it kind of just snowballed from there, and everything has just been great ever since, really.
So you started as how long ago did you start as an ISA?
How did you say how long ago?
Yeah, how long ago? Yeah.
About seven. This is my 7th year. 7 years.
So ISAs came into prominence about that time. They started getting really, really much bigger then. And I remember, it's got to be 12 years ago, maybe more, where I actually attempted to do that. And I failed at it miserably. Not me being an ISA, but hiring ISAs. And,
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you have to understand over the years was that when you had a traditional style franchise brokerage, it was very difficult for them to see that vision, right? So it wasn't something that was easily accepted by agents over that time.
Yeah, for sure.
What have you seen as far as that transformation? I mean, when you started, was it acceptable for you to be handing off appointments to agents? Was it something that was difficult, or was it easy?
When I first started with it, it was, I mean, at first, obviously for me, there was always just a learning curve. I mean, at the time when I started doing it, most agents, it seemed like it was acceptable on my team because I stepped into it with 4 other ISAs. So like to me from the beginning, it was something that was already happening, and it was happening for years, it seemed like. I mean, it was just a bunch of young guys like 6 of us in a room together, just dialing away to this massive database, setting up opportunities. And it was kind of just sort of systematic to the process in which I was able to build off of and just expand on. But I mean, just there were always a little bit of pushback for certain people that would say like, oh, am I not going to be going out and seeing a home with you, or I didn't know that you were an assistant or you were an ISA or whatever, like, you know what I mean? But it's all comes down to how you position it, right?
Right.
The handoff is a skill, I've come to realize, because that usually is where a big disconnect comes in, or where most ISAs fail, is with the handoff and how they do it, or how they present themselves to the client before they hand it off to an agent. So that's stuff that we just really had to master.
Yeah. So, one of the things I've also seen a lot of agents talk about is, what? I know I've got to make phone calls to build a business. I know I've got to follow up to build a business. And a lot of them say, well, I really don't want to do that. I want to hand that off to a VA, an offshore VA maybe, and usually that's where they're going with it. Does that make sense to you, or is it someone more like you're doing it continentally here in the States mainland? Is that something that makes sense, that they should hand it off to someone that doesn't know the market, that doesn't know the area?
So, I mean, it all depends really because, like, for instance, like with a Digital Maverick and DCM, I mean, we have about 90 VAs in the Philippines that pretend to basically be me or be Nikki. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to be a Continental ISA for that team. Like they have just a generic name like Amy Smith or like Ethan Harper, right? Like something just that they could get to make up and give it to them, right? And like they understand it. They don't want to really take phone calls, and I understand that. Most agents don't want to take phone calls, but
Right.
having a VA in the Philippines take a phone call, they're like, I don't want to get yelled at. You know what I mean? So like we just train them to text and email where they're talking to a client just as I would via text and email, and that client has no idea they're talking to someone offshores, right? But the thing that I'll say to people is if your business can handle an ISA VA that's in the Philippines that can really manage your database, then great. But if it can't, you all have these large databases that are worth millions of dollars. Do you really want to pay someone $3 or $4 an hour to manage something that's $1 million? You know what I mean? That's basically what you're doing sometimes.
Yeah, so let's talk about the size of databases and for new agents as opposed to these teams that you work with on a regular basis.
Mhm.
How important is it? Let's talk about just database management for just to get into this because
Yeah.
you are. I mean, this is you, man. I mean, hearing you speak at Cheplak Tahoe Mastermind was a little bit of mind blowing because not only do you know what you're talking about, obviously, is it you're passionate about it, man. It's just so very cool, so very cool. And so
Thank
I
you.
want to talk to you about that new agent, that newer agent, that
Yeah.
agent that's been in the business a few years, that's got a database that they don't understand their database. Can you explain how they should be talking to different people in that database?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times, I mean, I always tell people to segment their database, and like if you really look at it from a 30,000 foot view, like in your database, you have names, numbers, and emails, right? It doesn't matter what the type of lead they are. It doesn't matter right now that they're a buyer, a seller. Some are buyers and sellers. Some are vendors. Some are lenders. Some are other agents in your database, right? Just a collective helm of names, numbers, and emails, and it's just a massive database from that standpoint. But you really want to start putting people into different buckets, and it can be a number of ways. Some people do creation date. This lead was created less than a year. This lead was created more than a year, right? I always go from the standpoint of this person's a buyer, this person's a seller, this person is like an investor. You know what I mean? I just do it based off of lead type from there because from that place I can either change my language. Obviously, I can go at them more from a sales side, or like if they're selling their home, or I can go to it if they're looking for a home, right? Buyers are sellers and sellers are buyers to me, right? It's
Right,
just a matter
right.
of language. It's just whatever you say to that person is going to trigger something in their head, which makes that conversation go deeper. But I always tell people start out with segmentation. You really have to start there before you can really go any deeper in your database. Especially no matter how big your database is, it could be 100 people. There's going to be, if you have 100 people, there might be 25 sellers, right? And there might be 75 buyers, right? You just have to find the number and figure it out.
Now, when you talk about segmentation, are you also talking about where they might be in that cycle, where they might be in the buying or selling process? Is that important to you as well?
Honestly, when I get into a new database, I look at every single person in that database like they are all buying tomorrow until I find out that they're not buying tomorrow. You know what I mean? I treat every single person like, man, this person's going to put an offer in tomorrow, even though it could be a 6-year-old lead and I've never talked to them before. My mindset is this person will purchase a home tomorrow. I need to ask the question if that's going to happen. If they don't respond to me, or if they do respond to me, I need it to be about their timeline and their journey of where they're at. Because if that person does say, "Oh yeah, I'm actually gonna be buying a house tomorrow," great. If that person says I'm more than a year out, great. You know what I mean? I now know where that person's at in their in like their timeline. So it's always good to ask the timeline question for sure.
So, what does that sound like? What is that question? What is that script?
Oh yeah. Hey Dave, this is Travis. I know you've expressed some interest in some of the listings I sent you a while back. I just wanted to make sure. Did you purchase a property already, or did you kind of place that on the back burner? Something
It's
super
as
simple.
it's super simple. It's as simple as that. And I think we love to complicate things. I think once we get that license that says real estate salesperson on it, we have to complicate shit like crazy
Yeah,
because
they're like, I have this thing. So
right, exactly. So, all right, so segmenting the database. And basically, if I hear you correctly, no matter if it's 100 people or 100,000 people, you're still doing the same thing. Is that correct? Am I hearing that right?
You are 100% correct. Yeah, 100% correct. Yes.
Right. So, all right. So, how many different processes are there? Are there a lot of different processes which you're going to use depending on size? Does size come to matter? We just said it doesn't matter. You're still going to ask the same question. But are there things you can do with a larger database and you can't do with a smaller database, like different systems or different things that you're going to put them into? Such as, I mean, we hear about, I'll use the example of Fellow, right?
Yep.
So we might not put 100-person database into that. That's the basis for the question.
Yeah. Well, like, this is gonna sound weird. Am I able to present something or like share a screen in here?
Um,
Do you think that's an option or no? It says I have an option down here that says present.
Go ahead, try it.
Let's see if I can. Just because like I'll show you real fast of like what this looks like. Tell me right here. So this is a copy of like, can you see this?
Yeah, I see it here. I'm going to add it to the stage.
Because
Sure.
like this right here is very much like my mind map, right? Like my workflow of how I do things, basically showing like, hey, like this is a time frame, this is a quarterly touch, this is a monthly touch. These are the things that I need to happen in order to get this person to purchase with me or purchase with my agent as an ISA, right? So like this is how everything looks for me. You know what I mean? Like this is how my brain works. And it's even called copy of Travis's brain. So it's just very much like showing people the things that they need to see or like the processes of how I look at leads in a database, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And the question really that comes to mind is this all is this done manually, or is this done through templates? Is it done through processes that are in CRMs?
Yeah, so it all starts obviously outside of the CRM. Like when like that was just a website called Miro. Like that's where I was able to put all of my thoughts down on until I was able to turn it into templates and action plans, which is then able to be put into a CRM, right? So like I was able to realize, okay, I need lead A to go here, then here, and then here. I need them all to get some sort of communication. So then for each one of those steps, I needed to build out the communication for what they'll get. So I need a value text, a value email, a question text, a question email, value text. So then from there, it was turned into action plans, which then I could learn how to automate through like Follow Boss or other CRMs to make sure that the client's taken care of throughout the entire process or their entire journey of what they're looking for based off the conversation that I've had with them.
So the sequence is the sequence all email, text, email, text. Is when are you picking up the phone? Is it on a regular basis, or is it when there's a response?
So me personally, as an ISA, like just even right now, like I track a couple of ISA departments around the country, just in different time zones, but their average pickup rate right now is around 8 to 9%, sometimes 10%. I realized that our answer rate via text messages was upwards of like 40 to 50%. So right now we don't even have our ISAs picking up the phones at all. Everything's just done strictly through text and email. It's just crushing that much better. You know what I mean? It's just something where we're seeing big results from.
Yeah, I can't tell the people I coach that right now because
No. That's the thing, though. Hold on, though. This is agents, real estate agents need to pick up the phone 100%. And I will always say this: real estate agents, no person is buying a house without talking on the phone. That's just never going to happen. You have to talk on the phone to purchase a home. And that's the same thing that agents need to see. For me, as an ISA who needs to talk to thousands of people more than an agent just to find one person that's going to buy or sell in the future, like that sort of thing can be done with text message. But I mean, I look at leads just as if I look at their love language, right? To me, like people will say, oh, touch, gifts, time. That's my love language, right? I look at people in the database the same way. Like, how do they want to talk? Phone, text, email. What's their love language? How do they want to communicate? Oh, if this person's only responding with text message, clearly their love language is text message, right? If they don't pick up, if they call me every time I text them, their love language is phone call, right? I should start calling them more. So I look at people differently, I guess, than others.
right. No, I get that 100% because a lot of people want to put it on set it and forget it. And that was honestly years ago when we talked about leads management. And I'm talking going back 20 years, right? Where the systems first started coming out with the digital systems and stuff where, okay, you had templates you sent out and there was Top Producer, there was Century 21 had one, I think it was called 21 Agent or something like that. But they had all these systems where you would set up the templates. And I always thought from day one, even when they were brand new, that the templates really sucked. The emails really sucked. They sounded like a freaking robot was writing them rather than a human being. And we just said that the human touch is very, very important as we move forward. As we move forward on the evolution of CRMs and with the evolution of ISAs and the evolution due to the changes we've had to make in our business over the last several months, where do you see this position of ISA? Where do you see the position of databases? Is it going to change, or is it just going to evolve into more just everything being digital?
I believe the ISA position will probably, human ISA will go extinct probably within the next 5 years, just because of AI and technology that can do this simpler. You know what I mean? Like it is difficult, and it sucks to say because, like I said, this is how I lived my entire life off of it. But I mean, you have things like Raya, you have things like just any sort of AI system that can do the phone call conversation and the text conversation and stuff, right? But it's all a matter of, no matter what, you're never going to be able to take the human out of it, because there's going to be things that I'm going to be able to do better than AI just because I've been in it longer. You know what I mean? Like selling a house, you'll never be able to AI that, right? No matter what, there's too many legalities, there's too many things that are in place. Like the agent will never go away. The things around the agent might be replaced with technology over time, which is, like I said, the person that embraces it will always overcome the person that doesn't, which is why I've done more and more with like ChatGPT and all the AI software that's given to me to really scale this thing out, right? All my VA ISAs understand ChatGPT inside and out. They use that thing like, and they leverage it very heavily, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I mean, like, if you can have someone do something and use it to their advantage, like Raya is not to the place where you can just let it go and hope it works, right? You still have to have a human touch in there to make sure that it gets routed to the right agent.
Lost you a sec. No.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, my headset. I've used this thing all the time, take it everywhere with me. This thing has been through hell and back. So this thing is breaking down on me as we go. But does that make sense where I'm going with technology?
Yeah, tell me, how does an ISA leverage AI? How does it leverage ChatGPT in this process and the evolution of it? How does that happen?
For sure. Yeah. So, and I'll just tell you, like, towards the end of me being a full-time ISA, before I built out DCM with Preston and John, like it was me using ChatGPT to overcome objections. I would write out a prompt and say like, hey, I want you to pretend to be Travis Halverson. You are an ISA in Myrtle Beach. You love helping clients find their perfect home. I want you to end every single sentence with an open-ended question. I give it some crazy prompt, and then anytime I got a reply back through text message, copied and pasted, copied and pasted, copied and pasted, and it would go all the way. Like I can make it go all the way, right? It was simple. I was able to really abuse that system to have hundreds of conversations every single day, as opposed to just really trying to, because I'm really bad at typing. So instead of just doing this, I was exactly. So just like this, I was just copy paste, and I could get the conversation to just go very deep.
So wait a minute. So you didn't take what they call keyboarding now in high school? You didn't take that?
I did. The home row thing did not click with me. I don't know what about that home row thing they told me to get to. I couldn't do it.
I never took typing. So I always saw my dad hunt and peck, and I got really good. I use about 4 fingers.
That's me. I could do it. People are like, "You're the fastest chicken pecker I've ever seen." I'm like, I'm good at this. So it's the gaming. It's the video gaming in me. So it's great.
All right, man. So you've taken this AI. I see how it can help you, because this way you don't really have to think. So you basically would copy the response from a potential buyer or seller and put it in ChatGPT. They would give you the answer, and then you'd copy and paste that in. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. You know what's funny? A lot of this stuff is actually obvious.
I know.
And why do I have to do that in order to? Holy shit! It's an aha moment, right? Yep. Okay. So let's take it. Let's take it to the systems you work with. You work with Easy Home Search, Digital Maverick, excuse me, Reside platform. And you said DCM. Is that Digital Maverick?
Yeah, that's Digital Maverick. It's an offering inside of Digital Maverick.
All right. So talk to me about Digital Maverick. What is it? How does it help people? I know there's a podcast and everything else. So talk to me about Digital Maverick.
Yeah, so Digital Maverick is it used to be for the last like 8 7 8 months, it's now Digital Maverick. It used to be called Cheplak Digital.
Yes.
Cheplak Digital was the original name of it. It was with Preston Guyton and John Cheplak. It was to do things digitally, right? It was to help people with all of their stuff that they were trying to do digitally. It started out with PPC and Preston generating PPC leads for people through like Google Ads and running people's Google AdWords accounts and stuff like that. When I came on board, it evolved into like ISA training and coaching and conversion coaching. That's where their second offering came from when I came on as a Cheplak Digital coach. Then from there, when I was able to come over and with Preston full time as just an ISA to help him with easy home search and stuff, it turned into the DCM program, which was just database conversion management, where we source an ISA for you. We place them in your database. We constantly train them, audit them, coach them, hold them accountable. We then hold your database accountable. We give you end of day reports, bi-weekly reports, monthly reports on everything that's happening in your database. Nikki meets with your team to do audit calls and role play calls. I meet with you as a CEO and help you just understand your database and make sure that everything that you're getting an ROI out of your database. That's my ultimate goal, is to make sure that these thousands and hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of leads, they're getting a return, right? Like that is what I'm trying to make sure is happening every single time I get into your database. So
You
that's
mentioned
really what DCM was doing.
you mentioned Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki Pice. Yep.
Okay, Nikki Price. Oh, right. Okay, right.
Yep. She was the girl
Um,
that's sitting to the right of us. She's the language guru. Did you meet with her after us?
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, she's an animal, man. She's right now in the middle of a role play right now. So she hosts a role play every Friday for all of DCM. So there's usually anywhere between like 50 to 200 agents on a call with her every single Friday that she just does role play with, and it's just crushes. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
Yeah, she was just we're talking about Cheplak Tahoe Mastermind, and she was just like I just listening to her talk and how she does stuff, and she's very, very methodical, very systematic.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
super
so we
key
talked
piece, man.
about Digital Maverick. Okay, so is that for anyone? Is that for everyone? Who really would benefit from Digital Maverick?
So right now, anybody inside of Follow Boss or KV Core, those are the two CRMs that we're currently out of right now. I'm just getting started in KV Core Bold Trails, but Follow Boss, we have about 80 users. So we have 80 clients inside of Follow Boss that are using DCM, Digital Maverick, as a ISA piece for them, right? So some of the biggest teams that you've heard of like are using us just as their ISA team, just because ISAs either are very hard to come by, or they just couldn't figure it out to the point where they needed someone to work their database. So we are that piece to work their database for them.
Excellent. All right, so then talk to me about Easy Home Search. Talk to me how that came about and how that can help people in the industry as well.
Yeah, so Preston Guyton founded Easy Home Search, I want to say back in like 2018, I think 2017. And just started generating opportunities for his team. It started out with like lending, and it was probably before 2018. I got the dates mixed up all the time, but he started generating opportunities for his, like, back when he was lending and mortgage business. And then it started to evolve more and more when he started building Palms. He's just wanted to generate leads for his real estate team in Myrtle Beach, Palms. It started taking off from there, where he was generating so many opportunities that he wanted to keep growing it from time and keep building it till where he's like, you know what, let's just build a portal, and let's just start doing exclusivity. He saw how these other platforms, I won't name names, but these other platforms weren't kind of sticking true to the agent. They didn't have the agent in mind. You know what I mean? He was trying his best to make it successful for an agent, because he sees agents get taken advantage of all the time, right?
All
And
the
it's just,
time.
yeah, it's just this, because they don't care about your ROI. They just want to sell you leads and make sure. And he was like, I'm never going to sell a lead to two people, right? This lead will come back to you every single day, forever, for the extent of your exclusivity that you have. You know what I mean? Like, he'll never sell a lead to someone else. That was never the case with some of these other bigger portals, because that's how they made their money. You know what I mean? So it was something that he wanted to stay true, which is why he came out with the exclusivity model, where he would sell out counties to a certain team that he deemed was a good fit. Like, he wasn't just wanting to sell leads to single agents to just make a quick buck. He wanted to sell it and partner with a team that he knew would be successful with leads that we generate for them. I came into play because he would allow me to go in and meet with the team and like consult with the team and tell them like, this is the best way I see this lead routing should go, or this is where I think your lead should be sent, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So me being a part of that with Preston, it's allowed me to really help teams develop their own systems inside of their own CRMs.
When we talk about developing teams in their systems, we're talking about, you use the phrase called lead routing, and that's got to be an intricate piece of every team, of every system, correct?
It is, and everybody has their own way of doing it. It is the most frustrating thing in the world to me.
I can absolutely imagine, because I remember, because the system I was with had a system called Lead Router.
Yep.
It still may. I don't know if it does or not, but it's either. I mean, there's always been two ways. Either you put it out there for everybody, the first one to grab it gets the lead, or you do it in round robin.
Yep.
Is there any other way? And then when answering that, after that question, what's the best way? Is there a best way? Is there a best practice there?
Yeah, for sure. So there'd be two ways. One, I mean, like this is the way that I look at it. There are opportunities that are sent to you by like an ISA or by your CEO or by your team lead. So you are getting sent an opportunity that's already towards the bottom of the funnel, right? So like you got their name, their number, their LP mama, like all of their motivation, everything.
There you go.
Now from there, that would be an opportunity that would be sent to you. I believe that those should be sent to your highest producing agent first. If they want it, great. If they don't, then it goes to the second highest producing agent on your team. They don't want it, great. That means they're too fed. Then go to your third, then your fourth, then your fifth. You should always feed the hunger. You should always feed the top until they're too full to eat. You know what I mean? Especially as a CEO who's trying to just stay profitable in like one of the worst markets we've been in. You need to do something, like you need to trim the fat, or you need to make sure that your guys are taken care of, because if they convert the lead, you're just going to be able to put that money back into more leads, right? But if you're just going to feed the bottom and hope that they can fight their way through and figure it out, like that's on them to fight their way through and figure it out. Like the weak will fall off, the hungry will rise, and you know what I mean? Like it's all about work ethic from that point. So that's how I believe you should route like ISA set appointments or opportunities that you're giving out to your team. It should be some sort of tier system based purely off conversion and ROI. That is what I strongly believe in.
Do you ever get involved in, when we talk about giving out leads from ISAs, do you ever get involved in the scale of commission rate or anything like that? Do you ever recommend anything on that?
Do I get that question?
Yeah.
From my clients?
Yes.
Usually I always just say everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable. It's with you and your agent to decide on what that looks like. So yeah, we just try to stay very high level above that.
Right. I just put it, just hit me in the head, so I figured I would ask that question.
I get it a lot. So
because I know there's so many numbers all over the place, and people that might be floundering one to another way. So in other words, you're saying you don't treat unequal people equally.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So that's the way it should go. All right. So we talked about Digital Maverick. We talked about Easy Home Search. And then we have the Reside platform. Talk to me about what that's all about and how that works. I know it's been extremely successful with you guys and John. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's a platform that teams can plug into to really scale their business. You know what I mean? If you're a CEO who's looking to grow a team and have all of the best possible systems given to you that we've seen other teams use to succeed, that's the best opportunity that you're going to have. Plugging into Reside will allow you to just grow your business to a level that you never thought was possible, to really break past that plateau that you've been feeling. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I've only ever been at like 5 or 6 agents. How do I get past this? I go up to 7, I go back down to 6. You know what I mean? Plugging into something like Reside, they give you a Follow Boss account. They give you a Sierra or Lopo account. Like they give you every tool that you could possibly need to grow and scale out. That's the best thing for a team or a CEO, because I know a lot of CEOs right now are like, hey, don't think I'm ever going to be able to get out of production. Like, I don't know how to do that, right? Like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to keep this thing going because I'm doing 75 to 80% of the transactions every year, but I have this team of like 20 agents. It's like, that's because you don't necessarily either have the right community around you, or you don't have the right training in place, or you don't have a lot of those things. But Reside has all of that stuff already mapped out. you just can't be a tweaker. You just plug in and you just go. You know what I mean? You just plug right into this train that's already moving, that understands the systems that you are plugging into. You have pieces like me, Lauren, Mia. You know what I mean? You have coaching from Nick, Saneet, Preston, John. Right? You have financial coaching from Curtis. You have every piece that you could possibly imagine that you would need to grow as a team. Like, that's why I always tell people, if that's what you need, then that is a piece of it, right? Like, that's, if you don't have like that operations helm or the SOPs that you already need, some teams do have that sort of thing. So like, it just depends on your kind of model. Like, obviously there is an avatar that would be great or a good
Yes.
fit for Reside, but then there are pieces that would be a better fit for Easy Home Search or Digital Maverick. You know what I mean? So it's every piece that I'm in has a certain avatar that is perfect to partner with.
Okay, so devil's advocate, at the event, I heard a bunch of people talking about Reside and talking. I says, why should I pay someone that kind of money to be a part of that platform when I can do it myself?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's
sure you've
all
heard
about,
that before.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I always rebuttal with the fact that, yeah, you could do it yourself, but are you going to do it?
Exactly.
You can say it all you want. Like, it's the same thing as like, oh, I don't need an ISA. I'm just going to work my database. 6 months later, leads still haven't been talked to. So it's just like, you know what I mean? It is what it is. People are going to
Right.
talk a lot, but people aren't going to do a lot.
And one of the interesting parts about that is having come from a system that charges a fee. They charge it was, let's see, what was it? It was royalty and advertising from the Century 21 system that I was a part of. And it was interesting because they considered that an investment. Okay. Yep. But it really wasn't an investment because the support only came if you asked for it. It wasn't there. It was something you had to pay. It was no choice. You still paid that percentage, right? And the way I look at Reside was very similarly, only by the number and what was going out, but it was this system that was there, and it wasn't like, you plugged into it if you want to. This is a real investment. I mean, it's a real investment in your business. It's a proven process. Everything there is proven, and you've got the best of the best. I mean, you're right. I mean, you've got Easy Home Search as an option. You've got Digital Maverick as an option. And Reside is really the platinum version of everything, all in the same place, right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
So you basically said that Reside is for some people, Easy is for some people, and Digital Maverick is some people. What should be the process for an agent that is on their own, building a database, doing 10 to 20 million on their own? Is it or let's say 10 million, okay? They want to build their business. They want to build it. Maybe don't want a team, but they're looking at it. What's the best avenue for them to go?
So, I mean, if they're already doing that much business, and it's just like them and like a transaction coordinator or any sort of operations, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is like, if you're looking to grow from the fact of like, hey, I'm looking to build a team, right? Reside would be the platform for them if they're looking to grow a team, right? If they're looking to plug into it something to help them with like the operations, help them with financial stuff, like help them with all of that jazz to give them the tools to grow a team, then definitely Reside, right? Like, that is what I'll tell anybody, especially if they're doing that. If they are looking and they're like, hey, like, because I mean, Reside for whatever it charges, like some teams don't know if they can afford to join something like that, right? Right off the bat. It's all a matter of like the chicken or the egg, right? What comes first? And I've always told people, like Digital Maverick, for instance, we are doers. Like, we put someone in your database to do the work, to set opportunities for your agents to go on so you can get the ROI to then join something like Reside, right? That is what I've always told people before, is like, hey, let's do Digital Maverick DCM for a couple months. Let's get you some closings under your belt. And then let's go ahead and see if it's now a good time to join something like Reside. And they're like, well, now I need leads. Like, where am I going to get these leads? Well, let's look at Easy Home Search exclusivity. See what it looks like to generate 600 to 700 leads a month from Easy Home Search. Top of funnel, bottom of funnel, all sorts of leads that are coming into your system. Let's start converting those and see what it looks like. Because then at that point, you have all these pieces that you can attract to. So by joining Reside, it's just going to amplify that even more. You know what I mean? We have teams that are inside of Reside that are also on Digital Maverick and Easy Home Search. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think of my 80 teams, like we have about 20 DCM clients that are inside of Reside. You know what I mean? So like, it's just a matter of what was best for your business, because we are just an ISA piece as Digital Maverick. Easy Home Search is going to generate you the leads. all those things are going to get you the closings to put you inside of a platform like Reside and just honestly tenfold it. So
Yeah. So you've been through this business, the ISA business, and through all of it, from a standpoint of a lot of different things, teams, individual agents, the whole thing. As an individual agent, where should they start? And I've asked this question a couple of different ways. So what I want to do is I want to break it down
yeah.
to the nitty gritty of an agent really wanting to get started and really want to take the business seriously, as one needs to do these days. It's a lot different than it was last year and the years before, where you could be a hobbyist and still make money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a hobbyist kind of guy. I'm more of someone that wants to help those that are really truly serious about what they're doing. So where should someone start as far as database management?
So, I mean, starting with something like database management, I mean, you really want to pick the CRM that you need, right? Some people will pick like an all-in-one. Some people will pick like FUB. I've always just recommended FUB since I've been using it. FUB is like the platform that you can pick and choose. Have you ever built a computer, Dave?
I never built well, kind of, sort of, but yeah, go ahead.
So like, for instance, like picking a CRM is like picking a computer, right? Like you're picking, you go to Best Buy and you just buy a Dell and you get a Dell, right? And you just get all the stuff that comes inside a Dell. It's not anything crazy, but you paid a decent amount of money for it, right? That's what it would be like to get an all-in-one. So like a Brivity or a Boomtown or a KV Core, that would be an all-in-one. FUB would be like you building your computer. You're going to buy all of the best pieces and it's probably still going to be cheaper than the Dell, right? Because you understand it and you did it and you put it together yourself. So you can get things like FUB. You can implement YLOPO or Sierra IDX, right? You can implement real estate. You can implement whatever you want into it because FUB is an open API, but you are able to build it yourself, right? So that is the reason why I've always recommended something like Follow Boss, because it's open for everybody. So once as a single agent, you pick your CRM, you can really grow from there and figure out like what's your next step. Do you want to start generating new leads from maybe Google, right? Or do you want to go out and get another lead source like Easy or something like Realtor or Zillow or something like that? How do you want to build your business, your database itself? Those are the things you need to pick. And then you kind of need to realize like, all right, am I going to be a single agent forever and just keep doing it this way? Do I want to get an ISA to generate me opportunities, or do I want to focus maybe getting an admin or an assistant, like transaction coordination, that side? You know what I mean? It's a matter
Yeah,
of just
I do.
building your piece together.
I do. Being a user of Follow Up Boss and how it works with YLOPO and so many other things, Zillow Flex, Zillow,
Yeah.
Google Data Studio, all that, how it all comes in together. I think one of the most important things that we have not touched upon is Follow Up Boss, and others do it as well, is the metrics that we get. The numbers that we get, the data. I mean, we're talking about a database, but we're talking about names, numbers, and addresses there. But when we talk about the actual data, like for instance, someone comes to me and says, Dave, I really want to increase my business. What do I have to do? I'm going to ask them two things. I'm going to ask them, let me see your schedule. Let's talk about your schedule first, your calendar. How are you setting yourself up for success? Once we go through that, I'm going to say, well, mostly I'm going to say, let's go into your Follow-Up Boss. I heard this from John time and time and time again. Right. And by the way, we hear us say John, we're talking about John Cheplak. And we want to see what they're doing. Are they making the calls? Right. It breaks down the data when you're using FUB and you're using it with making the calls, using it with text and email and everything. It tells you everything you're doing. For me, I want to see that information, because sometimes it'll just come right down to you got to make 10 more calls a day. It could be as easy as that. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that.
You know, I mean, as far as all that's concerned, FUB, you can put a lot of different things into it. You know, we've gone on, we've talked about a lot of different things, and the most important thing that we've looked at is that database management, the data that we're getting, is all about human beings. And you said it yourself. People will always need people to help them buy and sell homes. As an agent wanting to really make this his business, as we finish up our conversation today, is there one thing, or is there a process where you would say, okay, guys, here's the secret to database management, here's the secret to CRM? What would you say to that question?
I would say really inspect what you expect and just simplify to amplify. You know what I mean? Greg Harrelson talks about it a lot, but like simplify to amplify in what you're doing in your business. You don't need to overcomplicate anything. It's just as simple as asking the right question. It's really all it comes down to. Pick up the phone, take the action. A lot of people are afraid to just pick up the phone. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
Yeah, I
if you're
do.
afraid to pick up the phone, just send a text message. Some people will be so afraid to pick up the phone, they'll skip over that lead and not even send a text. And I can promise you, if you're afraid to send that text message, there's someone somewhere else in your market that is not afraid to pick up the phone or send the text. So just understand that there's another me out there that's going to be like, you know what, I'm not afraid to call this person right now. You know what I mean? That's just what you're going up against. And if you're never going to make it if you don't understand that concept.
100% correct. Hey, man, I want to thank you so much for being on this broadcast today. I mean, I am so fortunate that I get to talk to geniuses on a regular basis, and you just add right to that list. And I have a question and a final thing. The question is, how do I help you grow your business?
Honestly, I mean, just you allowing me to be on this platform and just say my story and everything that I love about real estate and all of this has definitely just helped me just a lot. You know what I mean? Meeting people like you, meeting people like John and Preston, like has really just changed my entire life. So
Well, great. Thank you so much. And of course, last but certainly not least, for Real Estate Talk TGIF is the
I'm
hat.
getting a hat. I'm getting a hat.
The hat's coming out. The hat's coming out. I want to thank everybody for being here today and watching what we're doing. And next week, I forgot who our guest is. Next week's October 11th, right?
Yep.
Guess who we got next week, Travis? Take a guess.
Who?
We have
Who?
Dan Beer coming on next week.
Nice.
We have Dan Beer coming on next week. I finally was able to get him. Dan's going to come on. He's really excited to be on. So Dan's going to talk. We get him to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Dan Beer, the Beer Home Team, one of the top teams in EXP, one of the top teams in the world. So we're going to have him on again. Awesome. Hey man, stay on for 1 second as we end this. Right at the end, we'll talk in a minute. Everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you all next week. Hit it, Nelson, with the video.